you've probably seen, it's a beautiful town, and what happened to us was absolutely devastation, really. And this is where I think the planning has kicked in, and how planning can be flexible as well and not rigid, because we had, some of the planners had to make some seriously quick decisions, and I think that's been a lesson that I think that we can carry forward.
We wanted to improve our service through development management. For me, it means working proactively with developers, with the community, to try and get results that mean a difference on the ground to the people who live here, to maximise the investment that we're able to bring into the area, and to achieve the best we can for our local environment and our local people, using the development process to try to deliver what's needed for the community.
In olden days, I had a job in a listed building in the marketplace, and it took 6 weeks to get the conservation officer to come and visit me on site. Well, it was taking 6 minutes now, and it was a great improvement. I thought the whole thing worked really, really well. Very, very pleased, and it helped our job enormously as well, which was good.
Since we started working this way, I think we've developed much better working relationships, not only with local architects and builders, but also with the people who we would consult on planning applications. Early engagement has made all the difference to being able to think a scheme through with the developer and with other parties that have got an interest in it, like the Highway Authority, like the Environment Agency, so that the scheme can be designed to overcome the pitfalls that might otherwise exist. And we can also feed into the process the projects that we think the community wants to see come forward that could form part of the scheme, but that the developer might not otherwise have been aware of. So really strong links with the community, representatives of the community, are tremendously important, so that we're not just getting developed what we as officers think ought to happen, but that we're also able to draw on what the community genuinely want and show the community how that can be delivered on the ground in a timely way.
I think there's been some clear ideas developed in terms of how we want the street to look, how we want the shops to look, and there's been a real community working together because we've got clear objectives which everyone's bought into.
After the flood, there was a tremendous need for the restoration of Cockermouth, with people who'd lost their homes, who'd lost their businesses, and it required fairly decisive action fairly quickly. But because of the crisis situation, people were being brought together in groups to address what might be done. Now, although development management might not immediately be seen as the focus of one of those groups, it fairly quickly became apparent that people didn't just care about getting back in their properties as quickly as possible. There was a genuine feeling from those involved that they wanted to see Cockermouth restored to something better and brighter than it had been before the floods, that it could have a future that enabled us to put all this terrible business behind us and move on to something that could deliver a better environment and the sort of environment that they wanted to live in and to run businesses in. I think the flooding itself showed how much feeling there was in the community that the local environment mattered, that the town and the townscape mattered, and that there really was a strong desire to be involved in shaping the town and being a part of its future. I think that probably hasn't always been apparent to planning authorities, and sometimes we've found in the past that trying to engage with the public's been a really difficult process. So we were lucky in a sense that people were galvanised by the flooding into thinking this was an opportunity for positive change, and to telling us very vociferously that they did want to get involved and they did want to see something good and positive come forward. So it was up to us as planning authority to build on that and to build on it very quickly and to look for ways that we could develop what we were being told mattered to the local people. The great thing about the group is that it isn't just a planning department group. It includes officers from across the council departments, and it also includes private and voluntary sector. So we've got churches together represented, we've got local architects and the Civic Trust represented, we've backup support from organisations like the National Trust and English Heritage, and we've also got town and district councillors represented. So this isn't seen by the public or by those who participate as essentially the council telling people what to do. It's a collaborative effort to try and achieve something positive for a town that all the participants care about. And I think that's why it's successful. Each of those who's involved brings something different to the table and has their own network of contacts outside the group. And by working together in a collaborative way, we've been able to achieve far more than the council ever would have been able to achieve on its own, and certainly far more than the planning department would have achieved on its own. For the planners who are part of the group, I think it's also made their work a lot more interesting, and they have the satisfaction of seeing what planning can achieve in the real world, in a situation where they're dealing on a day-to-day basis with people whose homes and businesses have been affected by the floods, but also dealing with that wider range of interests who are bringing those different perspectives to bear. They're also doing all this in a situation where we know from our previous exhibition and from the public meetings and trade meetings that have taken place that this is an initiative that has really wide public support. Everybody wants to see this succeed, and it's an absolutely excellent that it's come together so well, and we've been able to do so much for so many businesses.
As a member of the Shopfront Regeneration Committee and chairing that, we've actually gone out there and promoted a vision, created in effect work that would not normally happen. There are a couple of, or more than a couple, there are several shop fronts that don't really need to be changed because they're rescuable, they do their function, they keep the rain out, they're not going to fall down, but they don't look great, they're not good for the particularly great image for the business that's behind it, and not great for Cockermouth. So we've promoted that and encouraged them to see the general vision that the town is coming back more strongly, so that we have created a situation where a planning application is required, but again it's been done on a positive basis, so that the building owner doesn't see this as another bureaucratic nonsense and it's going to take more time and more money. They actually become part of that team and the part of that vision, which builds and it snowballs. And as you can see from the result from Cockermouth, the whole town is going through a major change, a positive change, and building on, turning a disaster into a real opportunity.
People are bringing different perspectives to the discussion. Private sector architects will come up with ideas and thoughts that probably wouldn't be immediately apparent to local authority planners. The politicians that are involved bring their own dimension to bear on the discussions, and they are very creative discussions that come forward with solutions that none of the individuals involved would have come up with on their own. I think that's why it is so successful. And it shows how planning can use that wide range of talents and use the enthusiasm that is out there in the community to create something better, improve their own environment, and work in a completely different way from old style development control.
As architects, we're a bit cautious about pushing ourselves forward because it looks as though we're job hunting, But I mean, we had a lot of experience. When we saw the damage that was done, it was unbelievable. But we knew what had to be done. And we've done quite a few flood relief projects since then. I can probably say, quite honestly, we probably never made any profit out of any of them. but it's for the town. I've been here, or perhaps been here 32 years. It's a long time, and we're part of it. It's part of us. So we'll do a lot to sort it out, and I think we have.
I think that's the big thing that's come out from this. It's that community, feeling that's gone through the town. I don't think there's one person that hasn't been affected by it, and the feeling that they want to, all be together as a community. And I think that's what the passion is. And I think I'm not just the only one. I think there are others in the town, many others in the town, that feel exactly the same thing, and want to make this town, the place that it is and has been, and we want to be able to bring it back to that buzzing place that it was, and we'll do that. I know we will.